What is up? Happy Monday. Yee. I hope everybody's had a good start to your week. I have. It's been a good day. Just kind of chill. I made some content early this morning, processed a lot of those like deep Pisces themes coming through. A lot of the emotional turmoil that's been up in the ethers the past couple of weeks. I feel like I've been having a lot of insights and epiphanies this morning. So then I went in and had a really good night at work, and it was just really chill and easy. So cannot complain about that. And then there were really good snacks tonight too. So much to be grateful for. But we are here for our anchor message for the week, which gives us the themes that we will be working with in Soul School for the next week. I mean, and a lot of times these readings aren't particularly contained in the week, but I feel like they really do unfold through the week, but they're part of a greater unfolding story as well. So go check out yesterday's video. On Sundays, we do an energy forecast for the week. And so that's kind of where we take a look ahead and sort of see what the energy weather is going to be like, the conditions that we're all going to be in throughout the week. And then our Monday message sort of sets us up for our lessons that we'll be working on within the conditions. So yeah, otherwise, like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment, whatever you do helps the messages get spread out to others as well. So yes, all right, well, let us begin. So out of the wild unknown archetypes, we pulled the Maiden, we pulled Anima Mundi, and we pulled the Mirror. Underneath that, we pulled Ace of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, King of Swords, and we finished with the feminine King of Swords. So I've noticed in some tarot decks recently, in some of the modern ones, they've been doing some like crossover with gender, with characters, in the hopes that it can help people look at the masculine and feminine energies rather than getting caught up on gender labels. But in this particular deck, they did something a little bit different from that. Instead of mixing up the genders within the characters within the court, what they did was they added in, wherever there were face cards in this tarot deck that were masculine, they also added in an additional feminine version of that masculine. And so there's different ways you can look at it, but on the one hand, I like to consider that when both characters come up, like a masculine empress and a masculine emperor, I like to consider that they're representing two different people. But also, I like to consider that it talks about our maybe where we fall on the spectrum of our internal masculine and feminine energies, because we're all doing a dance at trying to balance those and do a dance with them, you know? We have both energies within ourselves. And in order to be fully capable people, we need to have a healthy relationship with both of those energies. Right? Like if I'm overly feminine, I'm going to be too passive and not have enough like ability to take initiative or be direct enough. I won't have like the drive or the willpower or the healthy self-worth to like, you know, demand what I'm worth or like, you know, take what I'm, you know, go after my goals or whatnot. If I'm overly masculine, then I won't be able to receive. I won't be able to listen to anyone. I won't be able to accept help or receive support, or I won't be able to trust my intuition over my logic. I might be too cerebral, too up in my head, and have no like really sense of like emotional intelligence or connection to like my intuition, you know. So it takes a balance of both of those. And so we'll get more into that when we talk about these cards specifically in depth, but I just kind of wanted to set the stage for that so you understand why there is a feminine King of Swords in the deck. Okay, so let us unpack. So we have, I want to start with these archetypes, and then we'll go into more depth when we add in our tarot cards. So we are coming out of basically the first portion of our life, and we are going into a grand new cycle. This is more than just like the yearly cycles and the quarterly cycles that we go through, and phases, and like, you know, things that maybe last a few weeks or a few months, even a couple of years. Like, this is a huge like timeline shift where you can rewrite your story. All of last year, we were clearing the grounds to begin implementing and rebuilding and reinventing this year. So the energetic year for 2023 is going to be starting when Aries starts. So we're at the very finale of the end of the 2022 year. We're at the very finale of the beginning of our life cycle. Like, it's time to take out the tape and put in the second videotape kind of thing. We're in a whole new situation. It's as if we were in a series that had a finale and then came right back, but the characters were able to like break canon, and they didn't have to go by the story from the past. They can go into whole new storylines and have whole new like story arcs and personalities, and maybe even supporting characters. Like, this is big reinvention. These are transformations that we've probably, if you're here, you've probably already been going through them for a while, and now it's about like wrapping up loose ends, right? So if you're here now, that's where we're at, because we are about to walk into the next season of life. And so even though we have all this experience, the Anima Mundi, we've had this realization, this brush with like this cosmic divine truth, where we kind of see the interconnectedness of all of it, and we can understand, you know, why things happened the way they did and how it all connected, and we've got some kind of sense around it, and we've been able to accept it, and we've seen the kind of holy vision of it all and the beautiful machinery of the cosmos, and we've glimpsed that feeling of unity and oneness with the creator, and we've had like those moments of real awakening that's sparking within us, right? It's like, even though we've had all this, now that we're moving up into this up level, we are now just beginners again, right? We're the maiden all over again, and we're sort of like freshmen in college. Like, we've left high school and we're at a new level in life, and it's a higher level of learning. It's an accelerated level. It's an elevated level, but we're beginners again, right? There's also things about the maiden, like, we need to remember that we are a novice again, and that even though we have experience, wisdom reminds us that the wise man knows he knows little, and a fool thinks he knows it all. So don't be foolhardy. Be careful, because the mirror coming up during Pisces season would, and especially with, I'm noticing the moon, there's something that is, it's like life is always reflecting to us something that's true, but the way that it's reflected in the 3D will distort the deeper truth. So whatever is going on around you is a reflection of your internal condition, your energy, right? Your vibration. But because this external world is the world of illusion, and there's an opponent that's involved trying to use this world of illusion to trick us, we have to be careful, because it's like walking through a funhouse mirror where, yes, you do see a reflection of a truth, but it's not the deepest, realist truth. It's a distorted truth, a truth that comes from a specific perception and not the unified divine truth, right? The deepest core truth within. So, putting that into mundane examples and terms. Things may not be as they appear, right? So, don't get caught up in the story around the circumstances. Don't get caught up in the melodrama. Don't get caught up in the way it seems to be spun. Don't get caught up in the story, but look deeper at what the real message is underlying any given thing that's presenting to you. I'll hope for a good example to come to me to kind of play out what I mean, because it's kind of hard to explain this. And make sure to read the description box below, because I feel like when I was writing earlier, it kind of was coming out better, but I'm trying to explain how, like, the mirror can show us a version of the truth, but it may not be like the higher truth. It may not be the real message that we need to take away from it. So hopefully Spirit will give me a good example to make that clear. But just know that as we step forth in this new journey, we can do so with a fresh perspective, with a new way of looking at things that's unjaded, right? The maiden, the novice, has like this air of innocence about them, which gives them like a sense of beginner's luck, because they don't have a lot of limiting beliefs and fears, but also that kind of makes them vulnerable to prey, right? And it makes, puts them in danger sometimes, because they follow their curiosity and they don't know, that they could be getting themselves into, a hairy situation or whatever. So just be aware. Don't be tempted by the impulsivity of youth and foolishness. Use that wisdom to be discerning and to practice your self-control and practice your free will. Because underneath the maiden, we've got Ace of Swords. And Ace of Swords is like this eureka, aha, the revelation, the epiphany that gives you like a new mindset, like a reset. You have a new, fresh mental space. It's like you've got this clarity, and like, the mental chatter has quieted, and you can see through all the bullshit, and you're finally like getting the truth of it all. And you're becoming more decisive and more certain, and even more comfortable within the uncertainty. But it's about your perception changing, right? It's about understanding that it's about mind over matter. And you've seen behind the curtain, right, that our perception, like we've learned in physics, that everything in this world is an illusion. It looks solid, but it really isn't. It's just light and energy and space. And so physics, quantum physics experiments have taught us that energy can be changed or manipulated or set into motion according to our mere observation of it, right? Particles change their form from like packets of energy particles to waves, depending on whether or not someone is measuring or watching them or observing them. So our expectations, our attention on something, our intention in things, our beliefs, the way that we perceive things, what we really expect of situations, it actually has an effect on the energy in the situation that molds our reality down to the very cells, the very particles, right? So we're getting glimpses into that cosmic understanding about our free will and what that means as us being co-creators, right? If we have free will and our perception is affecting our reality and we're creating our reality with our energy, then we're finally understanding the cause and effect relationships that haven't been so obvious because of the space of time and distance from which things happen, right? So we're starting to put the pieces together. We're starting to see how it all plays out, how the things tie together, how it all fits in. And that our thoughts, our perceptions, our expectations, our emotions, our moods, all of that is reflected in the outer reality, right? And so the truth, the real truth, is what's inside, in the core. Are you at peace inside? Do you believe in what you're calling in is possible for you? Do you believe that you're worthy of it? Because if you're not at peace and you really are fearful and scarce and you don't think that you're worthy of it, then even if you manipulate reality to get the thing, it won't be sustainable. Because on a core level, authentically, you won't align with it because it won't be, like, you won't be in alignment with the truth of you having the thing. You'll be still vibrating with scarcity and fear, which is not true. It's with the illusion, right? You're getting caught up in the illusion. You're getting caught up in the story. Here's an example. Every year, the entertainment industry and the hospitality industry in Nashville are usually dead. So in film, every year, it was like January and February, it was like there was no work. I was broke. Before that, when I worked in restaurants, every year, January and February, there was like no tables. There was like no money. We were broke. But this year, like slowly over time, as I became a more conscious creator and manifester and co-creator with divine, I would set my intention, and in film, my winters got busier and busier, and all of a sudden it was like I didn't have that lull anymore. So last year was my first year back in the restaurant industry, and I forgot about that, and I forgot I was a co-creator, and I thought, I got caught up in the story. I was like, oh yeah, winter, so slow. So I ended up having COVID, being out of work for like almost 2 weeks. And then we had like dead January and all the way up until like dead February. And we barely had any business until like March. It was like we were all like lucky about, we were so grateful for Valentine's Day. So this year, starting in the fall, I was like, I'm not going to get caught up in the story. I'm not going to get caught up in the illusion of what I'm seeing, right? The circumstances presenting to me tell me, oh no, winter's going to be so slow, right? That's the story. But the message underneath that is, hey, does it have to be slow? Are you not a powerful being with like the creator, like coming from within you? Are you not living within the creator? The creator's in all things. All you have to do is activate the creator. And so I was like, oh, we're not going to have a slow winter this year. We're going to have a busy winter. The message is that source is my source of money, not the tables, not the restaurant, not the film industry. Source. And so the message is for me to build the vessel that can contain and sustain that belief, that can draw in that light, right? And we've been so busy that we're all exhausted this whole winter. Another example of this would be in the Old Testament, right? When Isaac and Rachel were old. Or was it Abraham? No, it was Isaac and Rachel. And they were like in their 90s, and they never did get to have kids, and they wanted to have kids. And like they had one with their servant girl or whatever, but him and Rachel, like they wanted to have a child together, and they never did. And like an angel, I think, came to Rachel and told her she was going to be pregnant and have a baby. And she was like, oh, that's so funny. Like that could even happen. And her and like her husband had a big laugh about this prophecy. And then they got pregnant because like they were lighthearted and laughing, and that like relaxed the situation where it unblocked. Because you know how we talk about all the time how we manifest the things that we joke around with like the easiest, because it's so ridiculous that you're like, you don't really have any resistance to it because like no part of you is taking it seriously. Same. They didn't get caught up in the story of, well, I'm 90 years old. I mean, they kind of did. She was like, I don't even have a period anymore. Like, how am I going to get pregnant? Like dust. And she did. Right? And I mean, I know that not everybody like takes the Bible like as like a real story or whatever, but that's an example. But there are many examples in life that are examples like that one, right? That are true stories. And if I don't have like a specific one with pregnancy associated to pull out right now, but I gave you the one with the restaurant, right? So that's outer circumstances say there's no reason to believe that we would be busy and like have a great like couple of months financially, but we did, because I didn't accept the fact that like we were going to be slow. Like I was like, there's no reason why we couldn't be busy. So we have been. It's been great. And I'm not taking credit for it. It's the creator, right? But it's like you are playing a part in this. And part of our job as human beings, like spirits having a human experience, is to remember that we are part of divine, that we are children of God, and that we have all of the things that God has within us, but they're activated when we go through a process, right? As we elevate our souls and as we elevate our consciousness and correct our negativity, we are able to activate these things within us and use our free will to help create, a better world, right? We shouldn't use these abilities to receive for the self alone. That will only attract judgment and chaos on yourself. But the more that we receive for the sake of sharing, for the sake of, the greater good, the more the blessing flows. So don't get caught up in the illusion. We are having this new mindset, and with that new mindset, the Ace of Pentacles is like, this is the beginning. This is the seed level sprouting of this new life that we can live, right? We can live in unity with this consciousness, right? And we can start embodying this reality. And the more that we cultivate a sense of serenity on the inside, peace, security, confidence, not getting caught up in fear and scarcity and doubt when we look at the seeming, reflection of reality. We know it may be reflecting something about the energy, but we can look deeper into the message, right? And see the deeper truth, that as soon as we shift the energy and the consciousness, then the outer world will shift, right? There's no reason in trying to tackle your worldly problems with like physical solutions before you change your mindset and your perception and your energy and your feelings around it. Because on the energetic level, it has to be true there first at the seed level before it will be sustainable in the outer like physical manifestation. You can force something to happen, but if it's not in alignment with the energy in the situation, if they're both not in resonance and the same, then they won't have resonance. They'll be dissonant, right? So change what's on the inside first. For example, if you have chaotic romantic relationships and they're always tumultuous, and you get tired of your partner and you're like, I'm going to break up and I want to go like date somebody else. It's my partner's the problem. So I think that if I'm with someone who's more like this and more like this and can handle me better and blah, 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 then it'll be better. And so you go to the next relationship, right? And for a while it is better because it's all exciting and new. But eventually, after a couple of months or a few months, this partner starts to become the same partner you just left, right? And then you're starting all over again with the same problems. That's because you tried to fix your outer problems with an outer solution. But the problem is that you are still the same person. You came with you to that relationship. And so you haven't done the emotional healing that causes these interactions to play out the way they do, or the patterns to go the way they do, or your energy investment to end up the way it does, that'll play out in the same way, right? If you don't fix your codependency, you're going to be having the same arguments in the next relationship, or your partner is going to start sensing it in you, and there's going to be the same sort of like dwindling of respect and dwindling of attraction and all of that again and again. If you're the kind of person who's like, oh, I'm bored with my life, I'm going to move to a new city. It's like those people are always moving to new cities and uprooting themselves, but like then they're just bored again and they're running from themselves to every city, but they're still there with the same personality, with the same habits, with the same things that are holding them back as when they left the other one. So you see what I'm saying? Like, people always try to like fight fire with fire. They try to look at a material situation and approach it from the physical world, from a material solution, from a material approach. But really, everything is only a reflection of what is going on inside. So first, address the internal issues. Address your heart, mind, soul, spirit, strength, right? You want to make sure that you address the heartache that you've been through, all of these wounds that have been packed down and like stuffed over time. You've got to look at those subconscious beliefs that you're not even aware of, the patterns that play out. What is going on in your mental landscape all the time? Where's your consciousness at? Are you having constant anxious mind chatter? Are you tearing people apart in your mind, picking everyone apart so you're feeling better? Like, what are those things going on in your mind? You've got to address those first. Are you like plagued with fears and like riddled with like phobias? Like, those are the things that you have to address, or else no matter what your outer circumstances are, you won't even feel fulfilled on the inside. You'll still have all these problems. That's why a lot of times people will get famous or win the lottery and then it tears them apart because they think that it's this big great thing that's going to happen and change everything for them. But once the initial excitement wears off, they're like, oh, my life is essentially the same. I'm the same person. I feel the same. I'm having the same experience. I don't feel fulfilled. Oh, I don't know why. And it's because you have to build fulfillment from the inside. And then once that is there and it's solid and sustainable, you're going to be omitting this frequency, this signal that's going to be sustained because it's going to be your natural, like your native frequency, right? That's authentic. And so once you're set to that, and you're consistent in it, then you can broadcast a signal that brings you things that really align with what matches that frequency, right? But if that frequency is all jacked up, then you're not going to be getting things that are satisfying and fulfilling to you at a core soul level because there's too many layers of chaos and noise in the way. So we've been getting rid of this chaos and noise, right? With this new clear mental landscape, a new mindset, a new fresh set of eyes and perception where we can see through all of this stuff, put away that baggage and step forward like the maiden, oh my gosh, a fresh and youthful spirit to start this new cycle again, start over fresh with like a beginner's mind, not an old tired salt, just ready to be worn out and sent to pasture. Nope, we're new, fresh energy. We have new opportunities on the way. We're beginning to grow a new life, right? Our feelings of this like comfortable, solid security, we're starting to build roots here, and we're starting to sprout the evidence of our inner change. Our outer world is really starting to feel like it's about to shift, like we can feel it in our bones. Even if we don't see the outer circumstances have changed, I know you guys can smell it. You can feel it in the air. The electricity is building. It's coming in March. There's this energy, the spark of Aries is coming, but in the 2023 predictions video list, it talked about how this month is an opportunity to prepare so that when the lightning strikes in March, we can catch it in a bottle. There's opportunities coming, but we've got to be prepared, and it's about keeping our mind clear, keeping our energy clean, keeping our mindset and our consciousness and everything focused and in alignment and in harmony, right? Good things are coming, but we don't want to like throw a wrench in our vibration right before. The King of Swords was under the mirror. And so to me, with the king, the female king and the king, the masculine king in this reading, I feel like this is a progression of our consciousness, right? That the masculine king is like, okay, so the feminine king has surpassed the phase of consciousness of the queen, right? The Queen of Swords. She is now progressed even further past the masculine King of Swords, who is the good judge, the reasonable, good, direct leader. You know, this is a very cerebral king. He's like very logical and like reason-centered. This is almost even the most sexless king because he's not very romantic. He's just so like cerebral and like just the facts, ma'am. You know, kind of a little bit cold and aloof. So this king is... he's very logical, very intelligent, very smart, good leader, good at like justice and crunching numbers and like being a lawyer and all that, but he's not the most intuitive also. So the King of Swords, the female or the feminine King of Swords, not female because this isn't gender, but the feminine energy within, this is like... The feminine king here has integrated the masculine and feminine qualities of the air element, which is the thought realm, the communication realm. So the realm of ideas. So this means that in the mental realm, we have done a good job at balancing and bringing in to a good harmony the governing forces of our masculine thoughts, our logical, reasonable thinking, but also we're not too rigid in that we can't also go off book and trust our intuition even if it defies reason. Because the highest level of faith is certainty beyond reason. So the wise, the deepest wisdom knows better than to be so jaded. Like the maiden isn't jaded, right? The maiden has enough innocence to trust the intuition without being so jaded and cynical, right? This is a little bit cynical. This is a little bit overly logical, right? But the feminine King of Swords is able to say, okay, I'm a very logical and reasonable person, but I think it would be unwise to ignore my intuition, to ignore my instincts when I know that they've always led me in the right direction. What I love about this art is that it's like this queen or this king knows that the real reality is going on underneath the surface. below the surface, underneath the physical realm. It's in the non-physical realm. It's going on in the intrinsic. And the threads are really being woven together underneath what appearances are. The king, the masculine king, is putting all their trust in the material world, the physical realm. But the female king knows that everything is built at a seed level, right? So she's weaving her threads of magic underneath the frills, right? So it looks like her dress, it's starting in the layers that are underneath the top layer. It's almost like this is like her petticoat underneath the frills that are being built on top. And these are the threads of magic that are really underlying all things, right? The light is underneath the outer layer. It's really the hidden layers, the interior layers that make our reality. So the female king has transcended in her consciousness to see that the truth, the real truth, is the realm that we can't see. That's what's making the realm that we can. The king kind of gets too caught up in what he can see, feel, taste, and touch, right? A little too literal. But having transcended this phase of consciousness, we've come this far, which I love, because this is the she was underneath Anima Mundi and this Ace of Pentacles. So even more emphasis on the fact that this highest elevated version of the realm of thought understands on a cosmic level, on a universal level, that all things start at a seed level, and that seed level is the mind, right? Is in our ideas, it's in our thoughts, right? Everything starts as thought, and then it progresses through our emotions, our words, our actions, our ideas. They crystallize until they come into the material world through our words and through our actions. But everything starts at a seed level. And our seed level, the non-physical realm, the realm that we can't touch, that's what creates our reality with divine, right? With God. There also maybe characters this week that are reflecting your internal landscape to you and sending you messages. So just remember that these may not always be the most comfortable messages. So don't get caught up in the stories, because the stories that are coming at you may not necessarily be true. But there may be some kind of energetic truth underneath that story that you need to get a message from, right? Might be telling you a deeper message. So don't look at the obvious appearances, but look beneath the surface at the deeper message that's coming through to you. And being able to discern that's the game of life. That's what we're here doing. That's the assignment, is to try to figure this out, right? I mean, we're given this field that this game is played on. And the rules of the game are that there's always an opponent. Like that the physical world that we see is like, it's a projection. And it projects our energy, thoughts, feelings, right? And it's an illusion. And it's easy to forget that it's an illusion. And it's like our gauntlet that we have to traverse. And the way that we interplay with this illusion is like our level in the game, right? It's our level of how conscious we can stay, of knowing that there's really something else going on behind the surface, and to be able to understand and intuit what actually is the truth going on under the surface. The difficult challenge of this game is trying to learn how to decipher what these mirrors are reflecting to us. What are the messages? How do we see through the story? How do we tell the difference between the drama of the story that's not true and the deeper truth that is? That's our process. That's our assignment in life. That's the whole reason we're here. So it's different for each person, but that's the skills that we're building together, right? Learning how to decipher what's happening at any given time, what's going on. How do I, tell the difference? So there was another piece to this story. So another way that things could be mirrored to you, like truths could be mirrored to you, or your energy, or where you're at, your level of consciousness right now could be mirrored to you, is either through people who reflect your similarities or people who reflect your differences. And most of the time, well, I don't know, that's not true. Sometimes people that reflect our similarities are triggering because we don't realize they're reflecting our similarities. Or sometimes we see something in someone that we want to strive to, and there's a part of us that knows that it's possible, but like our conscious, like part of our consciousness also feels like jealous or threatened or triggered by the fact that they are doing it and we aren't yet. But it's really like a positive recognition in them that that's possible for us too. And then sometimes people trigger us by being exactly the opposite, and it's like they're showing us where our judgment still is, you know, and how we need to practice acceptance and tolerance of others the same way that we would want it extended to us. So because the kings came up in a pair, I always like to consider that these could represent two individuals, because it wasn't just one king or the other in the reading. And so I feel that this could be a situation where you are meeting someone who's a like-minded individual, someone who's very much an equal and a match in many ways, but you may not quite see eye to eye. They may be kind of a sharp, jagged mirror for you because of the fact that part of the lesson of, I hate it when I drop my cards. Part of the lesson of this Anima Mundi was to learn to practice acceptance of others, right? It's about embracing our differences and our uniquenesses and allowing them to be there. A little while ago, I feel like people were forced to just sort of be a little bit more tolerant and get along. I think because everything wasn't so out in the open. And now everything is out in the open. And now we're being really tested to actually know each other for who we really are and still accept and embrace and get along. And so you may be faced with people who are in many ways very similar and very much at first glance like you're equal. But you may find that you're butting heads and not seeing eye to eye about everything. And it may have, like, these days it may make you want to just be like, okay, no, I don't want to be around this person. I'd rather be in the comfort zone of my echo chamber. But the real challenge, what reveals more light in this world than anything, is that when two individuals can hold a space for tolerance, compassion, and love when it's difficult to, right? When they can build a vessel that can sustain love, even when there is so much potential for division, when they can hold on to choose unity instead and allow their differences to be differences, accept the fact that they don't see eye to eye, but still choose unity, still choose friendship, still choose compassion and love and understanding over self-righteousness, correctness, fair, I'm right, you're wrong, like who's really winning, you know? And so when we can bridge the gap, when we can elevate that kind of darkness, like the darkness wants us to be divided, right? But when we can foil that darkness and go against all odds and choose to keep love in a situation where it's a whole lot easier and a whole lot more convenient to just go your separate ways, or like try to burn each other and like get high off of like putting each other in your place and then fighting, you know what I mean? Like, we're so ready to like snarl and be divisive anymore. And it's like the assignment here is to be different and still find a way to care about people that we don't have things in common with. I remember one time hearing a story that happened. This couple met on Twitter, and there was one of the people in the couple was like one of those Westboro Baptist Christians that like protests everything, and they're like super like extremists, and they're like kind of like hate extremists. And this, I feel like maybe it like the chick was the Westboro Baptist, and like the guy was more like just like a liberal like Democrat kind of person, just like a normal person. And they ended up like they kept tweeting at each other, and at first they were like he was trying to approach her like trying to show her the error of her ways, and they were butting heads, but they just kept at it, and they just kept hearing each other out, and eventually it was like he was just trying to like hear her out and try to like accept her for who she was, and same for her and him. And I don't know why, but they just stuck at it with each other for a while, and eventually like she saw the light of day. She left the church. She was still a Christian, but like she realized like she saw through the extremism and like the darkness of it all. So she was liberated from like the patriarch, the dark, toxic, side of the patriarchy or whatever, and how it's affected like religion and extremism and politicized. And then like so like she was able to like see through it all, and then like I don't know, like they ended up falling in love and getting married. Like it was crazy. So you never know, but like that was what like I kept thinking about that story as I was like seeing this play out. So try to choose compassion and tolerance and unity, and not tolerance over this from this like pompous place of like, well, I'm going to be the bigger person and I'm going to make allowances. It's like, no, you got your own shit too. Like everybody's got their own shit. So like tolerate the fact that you're not patient enough to just let this person live and let live, and they you. And also realize the fact that you're having a Messiah complex because you're trying to, you think that like if you don't change them, that that they're hopeless, and that the whole world is like it's up to you to save the whole world. It's like, get off the cross, like everybody calm down and just try to like start with like, I don't know, a drink. Just try to get along. Don't do any like heavy lifting with the subject matter at first. Maybe just try to find your common ground with people, but start moving towards unity. Start moving towards togetherness again. Let's all get our senses of humor back and just try to like have a good time together. It's the tribulations out there, people. Let's just all have a good time together. This is the end times, so just get along. I'm kidding. Like I don't think that the end times are what we think. I think that we are in a state of tribulation and revelation, but I think that it's just about the unfolding of consciousness and the end of the way things are currently, and the beginning of a new world, right? A new life, a new era of the way that we think and feel and interact with one another, hopefully. All right, you guys, this has been a long video. I'm sorry. It's already at 48 minutes. I went off on some tangents, but we were preaching. All right. Well, hope you have a good rest of your whatever you're having right now, if it's day or night. And I'll see y'all tomorrow for Totally Tuesday and our manifestation reading. All right. Ciao.